Hey everyone, Garlock here from the FPS Dojo. I'm taking a little break today to play another game that I love that's not a shooter. It's called Hearthstone. Let's talk about the Curse of Naxxramas expansion that just came out today. Specifically, I'd like to talk about the heroic Maexxna boss in the first wing. So this one gave me a little bit of trouble early on, and I've talked to some people on the stream who have had similar difficulties. The problem stems with a couple of things here. First is her hero power. Her hero power is completely insane. For 0 mana, every single turn she returns 2 minions to your hand. And the second thing that's given us trouble is that she starts with 2 creatures and basically multiplies them as time goes on. Now, the problem with each of these creatures is when you finally kill them, they duplicate themselves, right? So she starts with 2 1/2 spiders that they die and they create 2 1/1 spiders each. Now, while you're doing that, she's casting more and more creatures and doing more things, and many of her other creatures either put creatures into her hand or put them directly on the table, or they just become really hard to deal with because they're larger, 4/6s and the like. So let's talk about defeating this spider. The first thing to address is the hero power. How can we use this to our advantage? Every turn, for 0 mana, she returns 2 minions to your hand. So that means that any minion that doesn't attack or give us something useful, say with a battle cry, is going to be completely useless to us because by the time they're ready to attack, they're going to be back in our hand. The only exception to that is if we can do something that gives us a full board of minions, like Maexxna. So that's exactly what I would suggest. Charge minions and minions with battle cry. When selecting these minions, make sure you take something that's useful. For example, Ironbeak Owl. A lot of people would overlook this when trying to fight her, but I found it extremely important. In the first 2 games that I won against her, the Ironbeak Owl was key. I drop down the Ironbeak and start silencing all those little spiders. Now in the meantime, they're only dealing 1 damage each to me, so with 30 health, I can weather that storm for quite a while. And then when I finally do get my explosive trap in this case, since I went Hunter, it's going to destroy all of the spiders in 1 shot, and I'm not going to have to worry about filling the board with more 1/1s when I kill them all, because I've silenced them all with Ironbeak Owl. The next thing to keep in mind is you're going to want to use minions and spells that are cheap to cast, because every turn you're going to want to get off multiple spells to get the most bang for your buck. So while things like Argent Commander might be a fantastic card, in this case the Divine Shield is worthless to us because it's sending it back to our hand, not trying to kill it, and it's 6 mana to cast. If you want to do 4 damage, you're way better served with a Bluegill Warrior and Abusive Sergeant because you can get that off every single turn and not have to worry about it, since the Abusive Sergeant is only 1 to cast and the Bluegill Warrior is only 2. It's only costing you 3 mana to do that 4 damage every single turn instead of 6 mana every single turn. So I completely omitted the Argent Commander. I only used 2 charge minions. I used the Bluegill Warrior, who's a 2/1 for 2, and the Wolf Rider, who's a 3/1 for 3. Now the reason I only use 2 is because that'll give me 4 in the deck, and in a 30-card game where I'm continually getting cards bounced back into my hand, I only really need 1 or 2 of those. Let's talk about wave clear and keeping Maexxna's minions away from me. Since I went Hunter, in this case Explosive Trap, that's a no-brainer. I also went Freezing Trap because even though I can deal with things like the 1/2s, whether I soak up the damage or whether I kill them all with the Explosive Trap, the one thing that's really difficult for me to deal with only low casting cards are those 8/8 Sea Giants that she hit me with. So that's why I chose to go with Freezing Trap and Misdirection. Now in both of these cases, I would suggest that you hold Freezing Trap and Misdirection in your hand until there's a creature on the table that is a significant enough threat to use them. I wouldn't want to use either of those against the 1/2s because there's no point, especially if you've already silenced it. All you've done is put a 1/2 back on the board that you're going to have to deal with 3 creatures now. Save that for the Sea Giant because then it's going to cost 12 mana, and if by some miracle you already have the board clear, she will never get it out without casting more creatures. And the same thing goes with Misdirection. Actually, in the second game, which you'll see here in a second, I actually killed Maexxna with a Misdirection just because, I gotta be honest, I was going for style points here. I had her dead, but you know, she had that Sea Giant out, so I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna kill her with Misdirection. And I almost didn't do it. As you can see right here, the target hovers over the top of one of her creatures before it finally settles on her, and she kind of just throws in the towel. And finally, let's talk about Alexstrasza. I don't have any single card in this deck that is more to cast than 4 mana. And at 4 mana, I only have 1 card, and that's Multi-Shot. Alexstrasza has a special place in this deck specifically for the end game. At the end of the game, 2 things. You're going to probably be pretty low on health. 4 or 5 health maybe. Drop Alexstrasza, put yourself back up to 15. Then you can deal with whatever threat she still has on the table, and that's fine. Or if you already have table control, drop Alexstrasza again, put her at 15, and then attack her, finish her off with all your charge minions. Anyway, guys, using these principles, I'm confident that you can beat Maexxna with any class. If you just keep in mind you need charge minions, you need things with Battlecry, you need some wave clear, and I would always just put Alexstrasza in at the end just as a good safety net. Alexstrasza is a tremendous card that can single-handedly turn the tide of battle. Let me know how you do down in the comments. I've also made a copy of the deck that I used to kill heroic Maexxna and dropped it on hearthstone.com, and you can find the link for that right down below this video. Thanks for watching.